Hello, my name's Ben, and I like to talk about things to do with acupuncture and massage. And today, I'm just going to talk, hopefully quite briefly, about acupuncture and the impact of AI on acupuncture and massage therapy. Now, I wrote a blog a couple of days ago on this topic. Well, in fact, I didn't write it. I got AI to write a blog entitled "The Impact of AI on Acupuncture and Massage Therapy: Benefits and Challenges." And I was just interested to see what AI thought it was itself capable of contributing to acupuncture and massage therapy treatments and consultations, just the whole industry really. So I thought it'd be interesting to just have a little read through it together in video format, so it could be a bit more discursive. So if we start with the benefits of AI in acupuncture and massage therapy, I think the first thing it makes a comment on is the enhanced patient assessment. And AI can significantly improve the way therapists assess their patients. And I can only assume this is just chucking a load of information into something like ChatGPT, and it should come out with a diagnosis and treatment plans for that particular patient. I've tried this myself, not with an actual patient, but just from kind of an experimental point of view, and I've got to be honest, it was pretty good. The things that it came up with were generally correct, and it seemed to have a really good understanding of Chinese medicine and acupuncture as a whole. So I was actually quite surprised about that. I would have thought something that's so niche it might struggle with a little bit. Now, the issues that I had with it is that with acupuncture theory in particular, you've got a baseline of traditional Chinese medicine acupuncture, which is what you get taught when you study acupuncture. But from there's so many different branches, there's so many different aspects to acupuncture and how you go about the diagnosis, how you would go about developing a treatment, which acupuncture points you might use. It didn't really take into account any of that. So each practitioner being very different in the way that they practice, which I think is a brilliant thing, and everyone has their own style, everyone has their own approach to things, kind of got a bit lost with AI, and it just gave a very kind of bog standard answer, which would be effective, it would be good for a treatment, but just lacked those specific details that further training would be able to offer in that sort of scenario. It mentions also that an AI tool could analyse data from thousands of patients to identify specific acupuncture points that help reduce the pain for 80% of individuals suffering from chronic back pain. This evidence approach leads to tailored treatment plans that enhance patient outcomes. Perhaps I need a bit more explanation on this, but from my understanding, if an AI tool took data from thousands of patients to come up with a treatment plan for your patient, I don't understand how that could be a tailored treatment plan, because it's basically just amalgamating lots of information, which is what it does essentially. AI, my understanding is that it's a prediction model. It looks at the past, looks at information that it can retrieve that has happened already, and it puts it into the context of the future to give you an idea of what's potentially would be the best case scenario from that information that you could lay over the top of it and use yourself. So it's not intelligent, it's just good at predicting what you want to hear or what you want to do with that information. So I think there's probably a lot to be said for that. I imagine you could develop your AI tool to be a bit more specific in the things that you want, whereas I was just chucking in a bit of information, wasn't that specific with it. Improving treatment planning, I mean, it's the same thing, it's just a follow-on really. If you can get the AI to improve your diagnostic, then it's going to give you an idea of what your treatment's going to be, but obviously you're relying on the AI to come up with a good diagnosis to therefore base the treatment on. Streamlined administrative tasks. Now, I think this is something where practitioners, well, any business really is going to be able to take advantage of AI and save time just doing lots of admin skills. Personally, I don't mind. I quite like entering all the details into my spreadsheets. I then get an idea of what my last month or last few weeks have been like, and how many patients I've seen, and I get a bit of an overall summary really of how things are, which prompts me to think, do I need to do some marketing, some advertising? What do I need to do? How does it compare to this time last year, last month, all that kind of things? I'm sure you can probably get AI to do that as well. But personally, I don't mind that little task. I quite enjoy it, though it would be nice to not have to spend the time doing that. So yeah, I think that's something that could be used quite well, using AI to do those things. What else have we got? So, access to educational resources. AI-driven platforms can connect therapists to a wide range of educational resources, from cutting-edge research on acupuncture techniques to fresh massage modalities. So, yeah, I'd have to agree with this one. I've written a series of different blogs over the last year or two on various different topics, and part of me writing those blogs is not just to give information to the people that want to read them, whether that be students or prospective patients or people that are just generally interested. But it also helps me to gather a bit more information. When you've got to do a lot of research into one particular topic, it continues my understanding of whatever the topic is. It gets me thinking about it, and I find that really, really helpful, part of my continued professional development. And I have actually used AI to pose the questions, like, I'm writing a blog about this. What do you think about it? And some of the things it comes back with, it helps me to kind of format how I'm going to write about something. It puts things in lists that would take me a long time to do myself, which can be really, really time saving. And generally can pick out resources, whether that's online or publications, that I might not have come across myself, and I've been led to things that I found quite interesting, and being able to bring into my practice just through reading through things I would not have come across if it wasn't for AI. It's in some ways a bit like a glorified Google, in the sense that I could do that with Google, put the question in, it would come up with a list of links, but because it compacts all of that information into one or two paragraphs, that can be really helpful in terms of just getting my brain in gear in terms of thinking what I'm going to write about and exactly what I'm going to be saying, rather than having to spend time move from one website to the other from the Google search. So we'll move on to challenges of AI in acupuncture and massage therapy. Loss of personal touch, and I totally agree with this one. The idea of having to type things into a computer and get that information back on what the diagnosis is and what the treatment is, I think you would lose quite a lot of that relationship that you have with your patient. I think being able to sit down and just have a conversation and be able to have a bit of back and forth, they'll say something and I'll have another question off the back of that. If we're relying on online tools like AI, then it's gonna disjoint that quite a lot, which is of course going to have an effect on the relationship you have with your patient. Equally, a lot of information comes through in dribs and drabs. I certainly can't expect to get all of the information in that initial chat. Some of it comes whilst you're actually doing the treatment and you're discussing things in a bit more detail. Some of it comes over the course of a few weeks. It's difficult because people don't always know how relevant the information is going to be, so they omit certain aspects, thinking it's not going to be important. So it'd be difficult to get all that information, stick it into AI, and then you've just basically got your diagnosis then, and there's a potential that you might not then start trying to evolve that diagnosis over time. Data privacy concerns, yeah, absolutely. I think when AI takes your information, it must store it somewhere. I'm not exactly sure what happens to it. I don't know if it makes a difference which AI tools you use, but it's something that you'd obviously have to be cautious with. I imagine any purpose-built tool for healthcare would have things inbuilt to make sure that that information was kept safe, but still something to think of. Dependence on technology. Yeah, I think it happens. I guess the more you use it, the more dependent you become on AI for your treatments, and I think that being able to think about what's going on from one moment to the next when you're having a conversation, and almost cracking the code, doing your detective work would become a bit lost. And personally, I love that aspect of my job of having to play detective, having to ask the right questions, being able to get the right information from them to develop your diagnosis and to develop your treatment plan. If you became too dependent on technology, I think the fun, the joy of that would quite easily get lost. So looking ahead, future of AI in acupuncture and massage therapy. So I think this is basically just talking about how the capabilities of AI will grow, and the different aspects of AI that will be able to be integrated into something like acupuncture and massage therapy. I mean, it's never going to get to the stage where it can actually do the needling and do the massage, which is good for us practitioners, because I think there's a lot of industries where AI is going to be capable of doing what they do, what humans are doing, whereas at least we have to have that that kind of human on human aspect when it comes to massage, palpation, acupuncture. It's never going to be replaced, so it's quite reassuring in some senses. But I do expect other aspects of the more kind of admin side will start to evolve and become better at providing help, saving us time. Training and education. So therapists aspiring to incorporate AI should pursue training to master these technologies. I absolutely agree. I think I've spoken to a number of people that do use AI a lot more than myself, who have been on courses, and they seem to have a much better handle on its strengths and its weaknesses, and when they would use it and when they wouldn't use it. So if it was something that I was planning on using more commonly, I think I would look to do some additional training to make sure I'm getting the best out of it. But like I say, I think I'd struggle to embrace the AI capabilities in their entirety, just because I do enjoy a lot of the aspects of kind of working human on human. Thinking of training and education as well, it's just having a thought that actually when I use AI to perhaps do a search and get extra information, of course that's something that anyone that is training or being educated in acupuncture or massage can do as well. And I think there's a big danger in that reliance of using AI in a learning environment. I think when you've learnt everything, you can then go back through what AI tells you, and you can pick out the bits that you think are correct, and you can basically assimilate it into your own experiences, and kind of use almost like a hybrid approach. Whereas if you're just training, you haven't got that background, you haven't got that experience, and I think there is a big danger that if you become reliant on using AI to study, to come up with a plan for essays, that you are really missing out on actually getting that stuff in your brain and being able to problem solve yourself, because you might not be able to use AI all the time, even if you chose that as your main form of diagnosis. I know when I've set case studies for students before, much to the dislike of the students, I've always tried to make it relatively vague with missing bits of information, specifically to get students to think about, okay, what other questions might I need to ask to get this full picture? Equally, that it might make them think, well, it could be this, it could be this, or it could be this, but the information's a bit too vague to say for sure. Now that's exactly what I want. So I want them to really look closely at three things. So even if they come up with one answer, I think, yeah, it's definitely that in the end, they've still got experience, they've still thought about the other aspects as well. So they've got kind of three things that they are knowledgeable about rather than just one. And I think by using AI, it's going to come up with, in likelihood, just one specific thing that it thinks it should be talking about, and it'll go down that route. So even though if you read through it, if you paraphrase it, if you just use it as a plan, you are still losing the broader aspects of learning when it comes to getting into case studies and that kind of thing. The last bits are collaboration with AI developers. Yeah, I think you can potentially create apps. We can we could collaborate with a developer to create something that's really tailored to our particular needs. That will be quite good. But if you're kind of more inclined to be using AI, it might be something that would be useful for you to look into. And then balancing tradition with innovation. I think this is just basically saying acupuncture tradition, massage tradition, and AI are very separate things. They're from very different points of history, but they are things that can work well together. I think successfully integrating AI into acupuncture and massage therapy hinges on balancing tradition with innovation. While AI offers insight and operational efficiency, the core of practice lies in human connection. Practitioners need to remain dedicated to their craft whilst exploring the advantages that technology can provide. I've got to say, that's put in a much better way than I could ever say it. So clearly, AI does have some positives in that sense. It's very succinct. It's a nice kind of concise ending to the blog post. So I'm really interested to hear what other people think about AI and how it affects, whether it be a healthcare profession, acupuncture, massage, whether you're a student or a practitioner. Can let me know in comments and start a discussion about this. I'm keen to learn more about it because I feel like I'm a bit naive, so these are just my superficial opinions at the moment. And if you want to read this blog and what the AI actually wrote, then you can visit benelliott.co.uk/blog and you can get access to it there. In the meantime, have a nice rest of your day and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks. Bye.